Hi, this is Tim Weaver from CVG, and I'm here with Alex Dale, also from CVG Handley. How you doing, Alex?
Not too bad.
So let's talk about Blops 2. You've given it a surprise, maybe 78.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, let's put that in context. What we're saying there is that there are a lot of Call of Duty games out on the market, and this one never really hits the highs. But in its own way, it's a really interesting and brave entry in the series that attempts a lot of new things.
Yeah, that was what stuck with me reading your review, was that you said that it's perfect. You know, like everything about it is really slick, it's really playable. You know, it has some weaker moments, but also has some very, very good, strong moments in it as well, particularly obviously on the multiplayer side. But you said zombies this year is really good. Just got to quickly mention this scene before we go. Controversial, Dela.
Well, it's maybe we won't catch fire. It's like it's you going around just slaughtering everyone in Angola. I mean, there's a lot of controversial imagery in the game as a whole, not just this bit. But once it settles down, it starts to tell a really good story of multi-branch pathways. You know, you get to have some sort of say in who lives and who dies in a battlefield through your actions and through choice as well.
So tell us about those branching storylines. You thought they worked really well.
They did, actually. I mean, I was pretty worried when they were going to tell it was going to be like, do you want to go left or right? And you're like, oh, I don't know, I quite like right, but you know, whatever, it doesn't matter. But actually, there are two types. One is like basically it's sort of over where it goes, do you want to shoot this guy in the head or the kneecap? But others are sort of emergent, where you know it's your actions during the game, like whether you make a jump, whether you complete an objective in a set amount of time, whether you take out a row of RPGs on the roof, and it doesn't signpost those. It's just stuff that happens, and you have to deal with the consequences. So, you know, the first time you play it, you have to be really alert of what's going on around you, otherwise you may really hurt your chance of getting a better ending. I think it works really well, although obviously some players aren't going to like the fact that it's not explicitly explained to you.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk our way through this. Talk about the branching storylines. Tell us a bit about the single player, about your feelings on it.
One thing I liked about single player is that it's quite a really well realised sort of future. I don't know whether this is what actually they're expecting warfare to be like in 2025, but even if it is, it's so far removed from what we expect it will be that it fits into sci-fi reality. We're talking about guns with attachments that let you see through walls, sniper rifles that can cut through solid concrete. We're talking about grenades that ping out of sort of wrist attachments like a Nerf gun, and sort of a squirrel suit that lets you just fly across the whole of South Asia in a swoop. You know, it's quite a spectacle, and obviously it changes the flow of combat. You've got these small portable like robots that run around after you like small tanks. So it's a fast, very lethal form of combat. I liked it, to be honest, but it is quite ludicrous. I think people that are sort of looking for a bit of realism in their shooters might go away disappointed. But I liked it, and of course you've got the sections that take you back to 1986 if you've got a hankering for the more sort of traditional Call of Duty gameplay. Okay, so tell us about the multiplayer. Well, the multiplayer is as it's always been, with a few sort of tweaks. I think Treyarch have always been big on balance. And after sort of modern warfare games, the latter ones went a bit sort of kill streak heavy. This one sort of reins it in a bit. The biggest change is that instead of it being kill streaks, it's now score streaks. So, you know, every positive action you do, whether that's taking a point in domination or taking down a UAV, they'll count towards you getting your next reward unlock. And it's balanced, so you get more points from doing objectives than you do killing. So that changes the way people play. So it's a lot more cooperative, and there's a lot more focus on teamwork. That makes a big difference.
So better than Black Ops 1's multiplayer?
I think the jury's still out on that at the moment. It's impossible to tell until we see how everything's balanced, but I'd say it's certainly on par and certainly a lot better than Modern Warfare 3's.
Talk to us about the Strikeforce element of the game. You weren't so impressed by that?
It's a bit undercooked, but it's a nice change of pace, and it is optional, although obviously you have to take them on if you want the best endings. It's kind of like it's in a self-contained map, like a multiplayer. You've got a few waves of enemies that you need to kill, or maybe you need to hold a fortress or something, you know. It basically boils down to you killing the other team. That's always a good indicator that you're on the right path. You can either fight it on the ground, warping from body to body as they die, or you can do it up in the air as a sort of RTS overlord, or for best results, a combination of the two. It's pleasant enough, I suppose, but I mean, it's never going to compete against dedicated RTSs.
No. Okay, but zombies, you think is really stepped up a gear?
Well, for one map it's a shame that you don't get any more than that.
Yeah.
But it's always been that way. It's this great map where you go around on this sort of demonic bus.
Yeah, I love the sound of that. I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah, it's the best map that they've come up with in a long time, and I'm eager to see what else they've got coming out for DLC.
Yeah. So overall then, so you're giving it 78. That maybe will surprise a few people, but I think having read your review, it sounds like overall you came away, you really enjoyed it. In the end, the multiplayer is kind of what pushes it through to being, you know, a kind of game that you should buy. The single player is half good, half.
Oh, definitely. I mean, 78 is a good score. We shouldn't forget that.
Yeah.
But the multiplayer, the single player does fall flat on occasion, but that's because it's brave and it attempts new things. And you know what? That's not really something to criticise. I think it's a great package, and certainly if you're in the market for more Black Ops, you shouldn't be deterred by that low score necessarily.